Here we go. Today's reading is from chapter 28, The Undoing of Fear, and we're reading from section 5, The Alternate to Dreams of Fear. What is a sense of sickness but a sense of limitation, of a splitting off and a separating from, a gap that is perceived between you and your brother and what is now seen as health? And so the good is seen to be outside and evil in, and thus is sickness separating off the self from good and keeping evil in. God is the alternate to dreams of fear. Who shares in them can never share in him. But who withdraws his mind from sharing them is sharing him. There is no other choice. Except you share it, nothing can exist. And you exist because God shared his will with you, that his creation might create. So we have this sense of the splitting off and the separating from, the gap that's perceived between ourselves and our brother, and yet it's still seen as health. That seems like an odd thing, that the splitting off, and also so that the good is seen to be outside and the evil in. So we have these, seems to be almost like a paradox, that somehow this gap keeps me in a sense of evil, and also...
It doesn't keep you in a sense of evil, it keeps the evil in. You have no sense of evil.
Oh, okay.
It keeps the evil in. You have a sense of health. That's
right. That's right. I have a sense of health, and yet the evil is retained.
Right.
It's in. So how would you explain that?
The first thought that came to my mind was self-honesty, in that we love separateness. We simply addict, the most important thing we've got is our sacred boundary. Do not step on my toes.
Right. Also, my individuated self as special.
Yeah. And sickness... In this, we're saying sickness. Oh, that's too bad. You poor thing, sick. According to A Course in Miracles, and if you follow it logically, it's true. All sickness is, let's say you got the thermostat, the thermometer in your mouth, and your nose is running, your eyes are puffy, and you're all curled up like a little baby, and you got a little blankie around you, and nobody can come near you because they're all going to get your illness. It's an outpicturing of that sacred boundary. It's an outpicturing of the sacred self, the sacred thing that we've constructed that needs a border on it, a moat full of alligators. It needs a moat around it. And not only do we love that thing, we need that thing, we depend on that thing. It's our first line of literally defense. So it is health. Separateness from the other
is perceived as health.
Is what we consider healthy. And so that so-called runny nose or that cancer or that lung disease or whatever, that sickness or mental illness, it's a servant of the sense that I need a boundary between me and somebody else or they're going to eat me alive. I'm going to be absorbed.
Right. And in the Course, sickness and the belief in separateness are the same. The belief in separateness, the belief that I am over here and you're over there, and the others out there are not projections of the one mind, but they are other. They're not mine.
Sometimes we do a course, and this just pops into my head. When we're doing a course, the Gnostic skill that we've learned to say that we are all one, that in truth we're all rays of the same light of God somehow, and that those lights don't have strong borders. That's a Gnostic ability to talk about it and nurture that moat with the alligators at the same time.
That's kind of interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Thinking. That's where thinking is a defense. Thinking is a moat. Thinking is a barrier, a boundary. So that I can rationalize, so that you and I can sit there and feel very spiritual and very healed and whole in a sense, I've got my incense going, and I go within myself quietly, like this, and I know that I'm feeling a peace there that many people in the world can't feel, and I go into that. That's all mentastics. That's all mental stuff, mental gymnastics. The simple reality is, and this is the honesty, self-honesty, I love being away from those people, whoever they are. And if it's people I love dearly, I love being away from them when I'm finished loving those people.
That's an interesting thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the way the place is built.
I know.
Can you think of anybody that you want in your face all the time?
No.
No.
Not even you.
No, not even me. And that's an interesting thing, because the ideal boundary is one that's invisible, an ideal boundary, so that we spontaneously drift apart into our own separate worlds to preserve the sense that we don't have any boundaries.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
In order to keep, we're not talking about some psychological problem here. We're,
No.
in terms of the sickness.
It's considered healthy.
That's what it says. That is health.
That is health. Too much of that, codependency, co-togetherness is like, it's considered a problem mentally. It actually makes us feel crazy.
I mean, I've dissed the New Age thing quite a bit, but it's like in the before New Age, codependency. After New Age, healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Codependent. That's so codependent.
Right.
You're just collapsing to undifferentiated ego mass. There's no sense of self-respect, dignity. What does Jung call it? Individuation.
Okay.
Anyhow, enough about that.
Yeah,
that's
more,
reality.
Right, and then there's more to this. It says
But it says God is the alternate.
Yeah, to the dreams of fear. Who shares in them, meaning that the dreams of fear can never share in him, God. But who withdraws his mind from sharing them, these dreams of fear, is sharing him. And there is no other choice. So again,
we have this split mind. I apologize. I realize I'm on this thing. We have two worlds here. One is, if I'm honest with myself, get me away from all those people, on my time. Mm-hmm. When it's time for me to be with them, I love being with them. And the Course says, because you get your needs met.
Yes. Now,
when I'm done with my needs being met, I start to feel, a little fidgety about time to go. Let's get away from these people. Now that's one world.
It might just be your personality.
Right. Now the other one is, so I live in that, and like I said, the ideal healthy boundary is one that's invisible, that I don't even know that I've got the boundary, because I'm so spontaneously healthy in my boundaries. I'm so healthy with my boundaries, no friction. I just spontaneously know when they're over there and gone, and I'm over here. Leave me alone.
And you relax.
All right, that's a relax. Now, the other thing is I go into my spiritual space and think about the separation from God. It's a different world, isn't it? Being separate from God, wanting God over there. And what can I do to get with God? I just got through getting away from that group of people that I don't want to be with.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to find a way to get back to God, and I can't get...
Put on your Om tape, get in your quiet little corner.
Right, but you start to see that you're living in a crazy train, split world where those people out there are the brother. Those people out there is the sonship. That is God.
Right.
Okay?
That is God.
I just got away from him, and then I go into my little hidey hole and say, how can I come back to the Creator? How can the Son... and it's a wonderful... And I can feel so elevated in that contemplation about getting back. And then I go back and work on getting away from him again with those people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. But it also says there is no other choice. So we must, the Course challenges us to make this decision. But to be the one who withdraws his mind from sharing in these dreams of fear is sharing him. So this is a decision that we have to make. And it says, except that you share it, nothing can exist. It's like we are non-existent except in the sharing of God, which is also the brother. Do you see where I am?
Yeah, except you share it being whatever it is you choose to share.
Yeah, nothing can exist. And you exist because God shared his will with you, that his creation might create. And we are his creation. And
I know. Do you see what it's saying there? The subtlety of what it's saying.
Except you share it in this choice.
That's the creative power that God gave us.
Yes.
The power to share.
Right.
That was the creative power. Mm-hmm. So if I share my vision of health that I just got through ragging on about being separate from people, you spread it. You're spreading your religion of separateness.
Well, I know, but that is not true.
Because God gave it to you to share.
I know, but that's not true sharing.
Protect yourself with a course if you want to. But I'm just saying, the structure of this world, I'm talking gravity here. I'm talking about, when you drop the ball, it falls.
Right.
I'm not talking about the desire for anything.
Well, I know, but it even says that the body doesn't exist. So except you share it, nothing can exist. Because I can't have even an experience of true existence without sharing the will of God, which is creation itself.
It doesn't help, as we talked about before, if a bear is chewing on my leg. It doesn't help me to say it's a dream. This isn't a true sharing. I'm not really sharing my leg with the bear, not really, because this is an illusion. Doesn't help. Because I feel it going into the bone and it hurts.
Yes.
And so that kind of jerks me back into, the hell with the Course in Miracles. Where's the park ranger? So what I'm saying about it is talking spiritual talk on it is often a protection. And I'm not saying that I love spiritual talk. I've done so much of it I can't even measure it, hardly. There's tons. But it is a protection against the simple reality that God gave me an ability to share. And so I'm going out as his loving son, creating healthy boundaries. That's my religion.
Sharing your gospel. Okay.
Yeah, my religion of healthy boundaries.
Okay.
You frighten me. You over there, you person. You frighten me the way you've behaved. And so I want to get away from you. That's and then I check in with myself. Yeah, I love them, but I've still got my distance. And that's the world I live in. We don't have a choice, because if you find something over there that bugs you or frightens you or whatever, you rush over and hug it, you're going to pay the price for hugging the thing that's treacherous. It's not like it melts and turns into an illusion necessarily. It all depends on self-honesty. Who is the one that's in the dream? What is the heroic role in the dream? Is the heroic role to arise conquering, or is the heroic role to try to the best of all abilities and be crushed? That's just the hero's role. One is the same as the other in the Course in Miracles.
Right, and I back up my ideas on these things, is that the truth is true and only the truth is true. And when he speaks here, except you share it, nothing can exist. That means I share in the mind that has withdrawn from this fearful dream, this dream of fear. That's the only place that let me finish, because there are going to be those who agree with me, aren't there? Unless I do as it says there is the only place that can be shared is that which is like itself. In other words, the only place, I understand what you are saying.
Keep on going.
Because in the world of dreams, if I don't, in the prior chapter, it talked about leaving the gap vacant. We live in the gap. And in that gap is the perceptual world, where everything is projection and reflection, attack and defend. But unless I leave that gap open, which means, for me, I suspend for an instant the ideas that I wish to lay upon it. my ideas upon it. And I say, let me see it your way, so that the will of God can be presented to me in a new reflection, a new, better witness for me. And so to me, that's what it says there. Except you share it, nothing can exist. And you exist. The only way I really, truly exist, because God shared his will with you, that his creation might create.
I agree with you. I think that's great. I like that.
Well, I mean, I have to.
I like
there
it.
are
Yes.
2 levels to the Course at all times.
Which one do you live in?
Well, that's our choice, isn't it?
Yes, it's our choice.
It is our choice. We might not be able to make it in every moment or anything else. I certainly don't. I'm just saying.
I want to point out something. The thing that makes my temperature go up is
The cockles go.
on the one hand, you give yourself the power of choosing the truth. Mm-hmm. That's what you're doing. You're giving yourself. I'm just saying. When you're talking, I'll speak and I talk.
Okay.
I give myself the power of choosing the truth because I know that the truth is there and that I must choose the truth because only truth is true. Yes, I give myself the power of choosing the truth.
You didn't pay
However,
attention.
I do not give myself the power of creating. I do not give myself the power of creating. Mm-hmm. I will withhold that from myself as belonging only to God. Okay? Mm-hmm. I give it to God because only God can create.
Okay.
Even though it just got through effing saying that the Father made the Son exactly like the Father. And the Son has no choice but to share, but to create and to share. Right. He has no choice. Now, then we get into the semantics. Is he sharing nothing? Now that's the Course in Miracles term for the nightmare. Mm-hmm. Nothing. Right. But we don't experience that way. In the same way that the camper getting his leg chewed off by a bear doesn't consider it nothing. So that level of experience of being in a sharing that I'm not being honest about and reassuring myself, stroking myself, that truth is true, God's got it all, it's all under control. And then I proceed to freak out about my health problem. Mm-hmm. Now the reason I'm freaking out about my health problem is because I have not given myself the power of creation. I'm making it.
Right.
Because it reinforces a misinterpretation of what I am. I may be sharing or creating nothing, but it's a creation. Mm-hmm. Now, we call it a making. Okay, we call it a making. We take refuge in our
Well, it distinguishes
terminology.
it very strongly.
Right. Yeah, I know, but I feel like it takes refuge in the terminology. It's straining at gnats and swallowing camels. In that my experience is felt. And when I feel good in my experience, I'm okay, and the world is okay, and I'm right with the world, and I'm right with God, and I'm right with my toilet patterns, I'm right with my dietary patterns, I'm right with my banking and my relationships. All is well, doing something right, No, in that, I'm steeped and living in a world of hatred and sin in that moment, but we refuse to go there. We stroke ourselves and comfort ourselves.
Yeah, right.
That I've got no problem right now. Right now. The operative word is
right now.
Now.
Well, that's true. I understand what you're saying.
So the only way to get to where I can be healed, truly healed, is to recognize that whether I feel good about it or whether I feel bad about it in the moment, or if I feel like right or wrong about it, or if I'm pain about it or feeling good about it, and I got to be honest with what world I'm living in. Mm-hmm. And I'm living in a world that involves the other side. It's not the alternative. It's not the God alternative. I'm living in the dual, the split mind, where I worship that boundary. I have to recognize that just because I feel good about what the boundary's doing for me doesn't mean I'm not worshiping the boundary. So my point, I've said, I'll say it again, my personal problem is not to feel good when I feel good. Mm-hmm. My problem is to feel good when I feel bad. Mm-hmm. That's my problem. Because when I feel good, I don't have to do anything. I feel good. Right. Mm-hmm. But when I feel bad, who's going to save me? Mm-hmm. Then I start doing A Course in Miracles. But then I'm in a deficit. I'm in a deficit to do A Course in Miracles. I'm in a deficit to understand myself as a child of God when the bear is chewing on me. Mm-hmm. If I had figured this thing out before the bear came along, he wouldn't be chewing on my leg.
I would hope not, but
You know?
yes, I know.
Anyway, thank you very much.
We'll go on.
Paragraph 2. I'm sure we'll circle back.
Okay.
It is the sharing of the evil dreams of hate and malice, bitterness and death, of sin and suffering and pain and loss that makes them real. Did you hear that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It is the sharing of evil dreams. It didn't say that you can only share good stuff.
Okay.
Just pointing out.
Okay.
Unshared, they are perceived as meaningless.
Okay.
The fear,
Point making.
the fear is gone from them because you did not give them your support. Where fear has gone, their love must come, because there are but these alternatives. Where one appears, the other disappears, and which you share becomes the only one you have. You have the one that you accept because it is the only one you wish to have. We went through this.
Yes, we
What
did.
do you remember from our conversation?
What, the one in the prior paragraph?
No, this morning or yesterday or whatever, when we were talking about this whole
We
issue.
were talking about the fact that the fear and love cannot coexist in the same realm. I mean, if you're experiencing one, you're not experiencing the other.
Why on earth would you choose to experience fear instead of love? That is completely crazy train. And I don't want to hear, but we're crazy. I don't want to hear that as an answer. You choose it because it's the wise choice in the moment. Why would you choose fear, unhappiness, pain, and suffering? Why would you choose that?
Right. That is exactly right. Because I have a strong sense of self-preservation most of the time, whether it's a mental preservation or it's a physical preservation. So long as I am experiencing a sensate body, there is a sense that the world is, I'm vulnerable in the world. I don't feel invulnerable.
Right. Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
No, well, self-preservation can be a good thing. I would say that.
I know, but the whole issue, why go there? You know, I mean, the Course is saying you got choices that you can make. You got an alternative. So why would you go there? Why hang out?
Well, it says the fear is gone from them. These shared evil dreams. It goes from them because you did not give them your support, and we discussed what it means to give your support. Why don't you explain what you consider giving the support of the fearful dream?
What did I say?
I don't know, but I can say that I somehow this morning after, or actually before Mass, because we were just hanging out before Mass in the parish hall, and because Shayla's very pregnant and she's concerned about a C-section and all this, we started talking about health stuff. And I joined right in with my own health concerns, and so did the other person. So now I've shared the dream of real, quote, vulnerabilities, sicknesses, things that come on with aging, things that come on with pregnancy, things that come on with these various things.
And you commiserate.
Yeah, I commiserate, And I think that is sort of a compassionate thing to share these types of things that are going on.
But it is.
Yeah.
Would it be more compassionate to say, Shayla, this is an illusion?
Well, no.
The fact that,
No, I'm just saying, though, it does give support to the dreams of these things that happen to the body.
And why do you become an Apostle Paul spreading the gospel of fear and separateness? Why do you become that in those moments?
Well,
because you don't know that you're there when you walk in.
Right.
You don't necessarily realize that when you walk through the door or you lift your head off the pillow, that you're already deeply in
the world of
that religion.
Yes, I'm already
the
in.
religion of fear. You're
Yes.
already in it.
Right. And I don't feel
because
fear.
you don't feel it.
Yeah, I don't Exactly. I don't feel it.
So isn't that wonderful? So that we live in a Trojan horse, just waiting for the little Greek soldiers to come out of that Trojan horse and stab everybody.
Right.
We live with it, and we go, oh my gosh, there it happened again. Not realizing I live my life as that Trojan horse, waiting to spread my gospel of fear to all those people around me because I'm not taking care of the Trojan horse, which is, I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel okay.
Yeah.
My health problem receded. My
Right.
relationship has been fixed.
Yes.
I got my sacred, my soulmate. Plus, I got my health regimen. And I'm vacationing. I'm on the beach. And the sun is on me.
And your retirement plan is increasing and increasing because the Dow Jones Industrial has gone up.
But I'm not asking myself, I'm not being honest with myself, that I'm loving this world of separateness.
Yes.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm not being honest with it.
Okay.
And so why? Okay, this is what we're trying to get to, because you end up just shame me. You're getting into this thing where you just shame, of what you're doing. But we got to have some compassion on the person in the dream. It's like I'm acting out my role. By God, you've been given the role of fill in the blanks. By the way, that could have been the name of this. That could have been the name of this podcast.
Fill
in the blanks.
Or in the gap. Okay.
Anyway, there's a good reason for that. So why? This is what I'm trying to get to. What's the benefit of blocking out the lovely alternative of God Almighty flooding in and filling you with peace and love and joy and light? Why do you like the other one?
I think it's, in some ways, it's the only way I feel like I can connect with others, because if I stay in my I don't know, the ivory tower of united with God, I don't know if that.
Yeah, the only way I can get together with other people is by separating from them. It's just that simple. It's that simple. It's just that simple, isn't it?
That seems so weird.
The only way I can be healthy is by getting really sick. Isn't it?
Okay, well, then you explain where.
Okay, I'm going to say what it is.
Okay.
So I've been
where fear is gone, love must come.
I've been given a role in a dream, and that role is you've got to do the work. You in the camera. You've got to do the work. I did. Each of us dream fragments have to do the work of what is that hero? How does that hero like to live? What is it? What's success for that hero? Is it having an elephant step on your head and you say, wow, successful, that's what I came for? Is it to get a terminal illness and slowly waste away? Is it to have a meaningless life of irrelevance where no one pays attention to?
Or to get the terminal illness and then, hurrah,
right.
I got over my cancer.
Or is it to when the elephant puts his fender, you put your hand under, you press against it, and you lift up the whole elephant? Or, like you said, to get over the terminal illness. Mm-hmm. Or, in my case, I discussed that. It's to live in a world of things that are falling apart, okay? I'm living in a world that's shattering around me. The pieces, I can't hold them together. It's like, those guys that are in the Circus Maximus in the Roman thing, where they put a chariot on each arm and each leg, and then they just go, it's called drawn and quartered.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go, get going, giddy up, and I'll hold it together. I'll hold it. Okay, got a team of horses on each arm and each leg.
It's not gonna happen.
No. So success in that situation is to be torn limb from limb,
or let go if you can.
No, you're chained to it because it's your role.
Ooh.
It's your role.
Okay.
So now, if that's my hero,
mm-hmm.
I have to recognize. Here we are again. Here we are. Okay, I go into it. This morning I wake up with anxiety. I had an anxiety dream last night. One of those things where you go in to take the test and all the papers are gone and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a mess. It was a mess. And I wake up with this disquiet. And I've got this disquiet about my kids and their lives. And I've got this disquiet because I've got some projects to do, which I usually don't, and I've got to get them done, and I've got this disquiet. So I'm just kind of nervous. I'm going, what am I nervous about? Well, I'm nervous because The hero has arrived. That's why I'm nervous, because the thing that I do, which is to take care of problems, to set up the bottles and knock them down. I'm shooting fish in a barrel, and I want that to happen. Now, the thing is, I have an amazing success rate, but I have an amazing anxiety rate as well. Mm-hmm. And that's my hero. It's not that he fails. My hero doesn't fail usually. My hero is unappreciated. Mm-hmm. My hero doesn't get a lot of strokes. Or he gets enough strokes for him to keep on doing it and going, did it again, you did it again, you did it again. I get enough strokes. I get enough compliments.
Right.
In the form of money or people making comments or whatever. But inside there's an emptiness to all that. Just enough emptiness to make me want to do it again and get a better reward. So I wake up this morning with this anxiety, and I'm doing this chapter in the course. I'm looking at it, and I go, I want this. You say, of course not. Be honest with yourself. And the honesty is this. It's not like, okay, Phil, do you like anxiety? Do you like nervousness? Do you like that queasy feeling? Absolutely not. Of course not. Mm-hmm. Of course not. But what I do like is to be a hero that rises to the occasion and solves problems. Mm-hmm. So I'm feeling that bad stuff, quote unquote bad stuff. That's only an effect of the cause. And the cause is I have signed on to a certain dream role. I will get those effects. Mm-hmm. So that can come in the form of I've signed on to be a sickly person. I've signed on to become a person who's sick but manages to function all the time in spite of being sick. Mm-hmm. I can sign on. How many dream fragments do I have to say? There's billions and billions and billions of them. I'm just describing mine because it's the one I got, right? Mm-hmm. I can talk about I could talk about yours and then risk you getting mad at me or something because I jumped on you, So I'll just talk about mine. I like it. And I have to recognize that when I feel that anxiety and that nervousness, and this is a very tame situation. Mm-hmm. This isn't one of the real biggies that throws me out. Right. This is one, and it's one I'm very familiar with. I like it because it's a proof of my hero's role, and I've signed on fully to that hero's role because I agree with the dream. I share the dream, mm-hmm. and the dream is we shall overcome. Mm-hmm. We shall overcome. Me being the great we, and mm-hmm. my skill set, talent set.
So where fear has gone, there love must come, because there is but these alternatives. Where one appears, the other disappears. So I understand how all of the dream parts work.
Right.
But now we're given this choice of fear or love.
Okay, this is where we got into it, and this is the hard part, and this is why I kept harping on that. As long as I cherish that role in the world, as long mm-hmm. as I cherish it, I get it. So let's say I decide I'm doing A Course in Miracles, and I go, there's got to be a better way to feel the love and joy than to be drawn and quartered by horses in the Circus Maximus, mm-hmm. but then by going through this anxiety. There's got to be a better way.
Yes.
So I use reason and belief, and I go, do you want that? Now the self-honesty has to come into full play, and I have to start to say, you don't have it, Phil, because you don't want it. Okay, you don't have the love because you don't want the love. So how do we make you want the love? Mm-hmm. The first thing we have to recognize fully is that we've been looking at ourselves partially. You've lived out a pitiful shadow of a story. Mm-hmm. It's okay. But compared to the shining, luminous Son of God, the dawn of knowledge, it's pretty dim. Right? So we got to go into it, and you have to say, well, there is that other. I don't know. That's reason and belief. And the only thing that will give it to you is give me that miracle. Give me that moment when I had an insight into that shining reality. I have to have that.
But there has to be, I don't tell all the other stuff. I just go to what do I desire. So once I recognize that I'm upset, So we actually end up at the same place all the time. But anyway, we just go about it where he has to say all the earthly things. And I just say, yes, I understand all the earthly things. But as the barometer, once I recognize that I'm carrying anxiety or I'm carrying an upset or anything else, then I do have the course to help reconcile it, which means that I know that it's asked for a vacant space, to have a moment. That's all it's asking for. It's asking for a moment where I go, I really do want to not carry this. I don't want to carry this. It feels awful inside of me. I'm full of anxiety.
But how can you? This is part of where we differ, is that you would say that the choice is. This is how I interpret our difference. Okay. You would say that the choice is, I want another way to see this.
Yes.
And that's obvious. It says in the Course. I'm not discounting the Course. I know that that's exactly correcto mundo. I know. The difference is, having known that it's my choice, why is it such a difficult process, time after time after time, to make the choice to want to see it differently? And part of the reason, I think, is because I'm not being honest with myself, that I really cherish my role as an illusion in the world. I like my illusory role. It gives me certain perks, bennies, And so that the choice, it's one thing to choose, I don't like anxiety, I'd rather feel love. Easy enough. Easy enough. It's another thing to say, this life that I cherish is empty. It's vacant. It's vacuous.
Well, now I'm going to go back to where in the last podcast that we just ran, I spoke of a relationship with a friend that was sometimes very troubling to me. And that, I seem to be, quote, the counselor and things like that. But all of my friendships have been built off of where I have a sense of the person needing me. I like being needed. And so therefore I'm willing to enter into it. And then it sometimes feels as though it's a drain on me, but I wanted to feel needed. And so I recognize these patterns in myself now. Well, after this particular one, which really threw me off for a couple of days, I said, well, we're going to get together again. And on that same day that we did the last podcast,
her vindictive, vehement way of talking really knocked you out for a couple of days.
Yeah. Okay. So about the other, and then I joined in that, having that same vehemence towards her because she was going towards these other people that I actually care about. And I was like, wow, this is. I don't know if I want to stay in this relationship. She called me that afternoon, and I
think while we were in the podcast.
Well, first, and I called her back. But at any rate, it doesn't matter. She calls back, and I thought, okay, I'm going to listen to her. She starts telling me about what happens. This is the second time that she nearly got thrown out of a hospital because of her friend that she wanted to go see, who's in the hospital right now. And for some reason, the family doesn't like her. These other people are. And I could say it's just because of her personality. Okay, this is what's going through my mind. So she's telling me about this thing. But I went into the conversation. When I picked up the phone, I said, Holy Spirit, I need to know that you're in this conversation with me. So she starts to tell me about getting thrown out of the hospital. And I was like, oh, God, here we go again. What the heck did she do? That's what I'm thinking. And I even told him, and he's thinking the same thing.
Same old thing.
And so then she says, and you won't believe this. She goes, the security guard who's supposedly supposed to help me walk out, and I said, you don't have to walk me out and everything else. He goes, it's okay. And he just walks out the door with her. And as soon as he got out the door, he said, I can see that the Holy Spirit is strong in you because you handled that so well. And I got hit in the face with a different reality, a different perception from someone else looking in from an entirely different place, okay?
It's a total miracle.
It's a total miracle for me. It nearly hit me like a boom. Not only that, but
you've been talking to her for 3-4 years over this. You've never heard this movement in her.
No. And so this is what happened for me and for her. She had a healing that it's not her fault, really, that these people are this way. They're seeing her this way. There's other things going on potentially. I get a healing because I'm getting a different perception of what I thought she's up to, okay, based on my other interactions with her. And I was like, okay, I'm willing to listen now. Now she goes into, this woman can talk. I let her talk for nearly 3 hours. I was like, holy mackerel. I cannot believe I'm on the phone this long with her. And I forget, she said one thing at the very end, and it had to do with my relationship with her. And she goes, I know I mess up really bad sometimes. And she goes, and you really help me to see what I'm doing. And in other words, she gave me a reflection of a positive relationship in her life. I also heard that the Holy Spirit is in her.
And the other one was that the lady that she ripped into, that is kind of a friend of yours.
Yes.
She rips into this other lady. She said, it doesn't matter. I'll leave her alone.
She goes, I know I'm doing that. And she goes, it's not healthy. And I was like, wow. So by letting the last section, which was section 4, had to do with letting it be. And so I took it to heart that if she calls, I'm not going to lay anything on it. I'm going to, quote, let her be. I'm going to let the situation be. And I'm going to wait for the Holy Spirit to give me feedback that he's in this with me. And I got it. So I just want to let you know that I did get it and that it does work. So that's why we have this particular argument and stuff like that, is because, yes, the world of projection and reflection, the dream, is very, very real. And when things are coming down, it is hard in the moment to do what it is asking us to do. But luckily, we're not in, quote, instant karma time, although it feels like it sometimes, where, as soon as you rank on somebody else, it comes back like a boomerang immediately. Instead, we have a point of still reflection, at least for myself. And if I have a point of reflection, I'm not being, chewed on by the bear, then I have the opportunity to say, the next time this particular thing comes up, I'm going to remove myself. I'm going to not support what I think it is. I'm going to let it. I'm going to recede into, I want to hear what the Holy Spirit has to say here. And I've been practicing this, and I'm noticing that it is happening more. So that's why we have this thing going on where
right.
you say one thing, but I know that if in that lag time that I'm able to get sane for a few moments, and days had gone by, I didn't call her because I was like, I don't know if I want this conversation. I don't know if I want to go there. But I felt like it was a miracle, and I would stay with this relationship now because she, as a reflection in my dream, is teaching me about myself and teaching me about the Holy Spirit. It's beautiful that way. So it's a bit trying for me, but I say, I'm willing. I'm willing to see it, and I'm willing also to see the truth about myself in the situation.
In the last episode, we discussed this. The Course mentions this ladder of descent into delusion. It talks about a ladder down.
Yes.
And I mentioned as a parallel within the text material, or within the material that Helen Schuckman channeled anyway, is that there's the ladder of prayer, right?
Yes.
So we have the ladder of delusion down, and it says, basically, you've got to get down to the bottom. And when you get down to the bottom, then God comes in and you begin the process of coming out. So part of the reason I'm bringing this up is because a miracle like that, you see, it's a miracle. And it is not a miracle, it is actually the miracle. That's what it is. As all miracles are the miracle, because there's only the problem and there's only the solution. There's
Correct.
not a lot of them.
Right.
But I live in a world where I want to rack up miracles like I would rack up money in the bank,
Mm-hmm.
and I want more and more miracles, which means I want to stay in my special self down at the bottom rung, and I want to experience that same wonderful rung of the ladder of prayer, out of delusion. I want to be on the same rung again, and then I drop down to the bottom, and I get on that rung again, and I do stair stepping. It's like I'm in the gym, and I'm just going up and down and up and down and up and down on the same rung. The reason is because, like, if this looks like a miracle with her, and will this stick and will this stay, there's only one true message in this, and that's that God loves you, God reaches you, God is willing to adopt language to give to you so that you
Right.
can understand something. It has zero to do with her repentance.
Exactly.
It has zero to
It
do with
doesn't.
her sin.
No, it's what I needed to hear.
It's you were only, in the same way with your parents, you are only, now the special self still wants to know that it's making an impact in the shadow world.
Yes.
It loves that feeling, it cherishes it,
Yes.
and so it won't let that feeling go. And instead of saying, God doesn't care about me healing the world at all.
No.
God wants me to come
heal.
back.
Yeah, yeah.
God wants me to
My
come
healing
back.
is the healing of the world.
God doesn't give
Yes.
a crap about me healing the world, because I am the world to God. God looks into me and goes, there's only one thing going on here, and that's you. And so that when I get feedback from that, the illusion itself is God, all things echoes, talking back to me, saying, come back, come back. Now, if you say, you know what, that felt so good, tell me again in a week.
Yes, I know. No. I consider them almost a challenge now. Now when they're coming up, I'm going, okay, let's see what happens with this one, and I'm willing to say I'm going to apply it and see what happens.
So paragraph 3.
So far, so good. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah.
Okay, paragraph 3. You share no evil dreams if you forgive the dreamer and perceive that he is not the dream he made. And so he cannot be a part of yours, from which you both are free. Forgiveness separates the dreamer from the evil dream and thus releases him. Remember, if you share an evil dream, you will believe you are the dream you share. And fearing it, you will not want to know your own identity because you think that it is fearful. And you will deny yourself and walk upon an alien ground which your Creator did not make and where you seem to be a something you are not. You will make war upon yourself, which seems to be your enemy, and you will attack your brother as a part of what you hate. There is no compromise. You are yourself or an illusion. What can be between illusion and the truth? A middle ground where you can be a thing that is not you, must be a dream, and cannot be the truth.
It's not really, I think it's incredibly precise, but it is difficult to understand what this is saying sometimes. And like in the case of the situation you just gave with the lady, who she is and her history with you and her history in the world, none of that matters. What matters is that she's a symbolic element in your world.
Absolutely.
And as a symbolic element in your world, you have projected things onto her. You have projected, as it said in the beginning, you've projected your
Because I
sickness
believe
onto
I
her.
am a dream. I am the dream fragment in those
Right.
things. Yes.
And to get free of this awfulness that you think you are, that whatever that is. And this is where you sit down in those quiet moments you're talking about. And I would say it's a good idea to do a journal. You know what I mean? If you want to do a journal and write down, what do I really think I am? And the proof
And what
is,
do you really think the other person is? Because often
well, that's the way to find out what you think you are.
Yes,
right. That's exactly
exactly.
the way to
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah.
What do I think the other person is?
Well, it tells us, as we said before, it tells me what I think about myself, not the true identity of the self, but the things that I've taken on through whatever way I grew up in environment and family and everything else. It tells me what I think about myself, where I think I'm valuable, and where I'm vulnerable and little and things like that. So
It's going to give a clue in any case in levels and levels, if we talk about the rungs of a ladder, in levels and levels, it'll tell you what the character description is of the hero in your dream.
Yes.
And by seeing what your character description is of the hero in the dream, it'll start to tell you what the dream is. And then by knowing what the dream is,
you can contact the dreamer.
What you are as a
dreamer.
Then you can just say, I see this. I'm a character and I'm in a dream.
Yes.
And at that point, as soon as that is recognized, as soon as that happens, you are in contact with the dreamer because you are no longer identified with the dreamed fragment.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I see myself as playing a role. I see myself as in a dream. From my own experiences, the first thing I feel is that I'm trapped within it and I can't get out. But that's a step forward, to feel that I'm trapped in the dream and I can't get out, because that's where the course actually begins in a way.
Yeah, it's an awareness of that. And ironically, as this has been going on, these two situations that I've explained in these last two podcasts, is that my night dreams also changed with it. I had 2 nights in a row, not exactly right around the same, I mean, within sort of the same time frame, within weeks of one another, where I actually knew I was in my nighttime dream. And I woke myself up because I didn't like it. And so that has happened twice now. And now I've also had 2 very good feedback from the Holy Spirit, from the dream fragments speaking to me, which means that the dreamer and the dream fragment are now beginning to communicate. That's what I think about it, is that I'm beginning to understand that I have agency for speaking to the dreamer, which is the Holy Son of God himself, which is also my true identity. So once you recognize, oh my gosh, I thought that was impossible. In other words, I know what the Course says, but until it starts to happen, you don't recognize that you actually have a communication channel between yourself and the Holy Son of God, which wants to be forgiven of the idea that it could separate all over again. It's like it's all nestled one inside the other. And so I would say practice it and see how it works in your own life. I think it's been kind of a fascinating recent journey for me. So let's say there are things in here that it said that you share no evil dreams if you forgive the dreamer and perceive that he is not the dream he made. So the dreamer is the Son of God who thinks that he could be able to separate, which is where all sickness and sin came in. And so you cannot be a part of yours from which you both are free. Forgiveness separates the dreamer from the evil dream and thus releases him. So that moment of forgiveness, which you don't even realize is happening, that's why for myself, I always feel like forgiveness is when I allow the Holy Spirit to speak to me. Because if I say, I am forgiving this person, the ego has taken over the situation and it puts me on a higher space than the other person. But when I say, I don't know, I want your answer, it means that there's the place for true forgiveness to fill the gap, which means that I am united with my brother then, and they are speaking to me specifically for what I need to know. So they're speaking specifically for what I need to know, and now it's like it's up to me to have ears to hear and pay attention. Because there are times, I'm sure, in my life that things have been spoken to me, the echoes of the voice for God in the dream, and I don't look at them as they're very, very specifically being said to me for a specific reason, for my own awakening. And I've dissed them as not messages from God. I've just said, oh, well, it's
even if you view it as a miracle, you say, well, great, a miracle, great,
No, it's...
And there's not a desire to peel it open with the same intensity as feeling of why your feet buzz.
Yeah.
You really want to peel open the buzzing feet.
Yeah.
But the miracle, not as much. You don't really want to peel that one open.
Right. It's just like, oh, wow, look at that. And then there's a tendency to just It's not like I'm not grateful in the moment. It's just that, I don't know, we tend to hang on, I do, of the things that are bothersome.
It's
those
because
are
we
the things.
cherish our role in the dream.
Yeah.
It's that simple. We like where we're at,
Right.
and we're afraid of leaving it. We're afraid.
Mm-hmm.
An example for myself was, I've talked about my son, and he's, in my mind, I'm just giving you a mental picture here. Right now, as far as I know, because I don't know much, he's wandering like a wraith. He's still living in Florida with his mom, my ex, and he's just like, the half dead, and he's doing. Now the thing is, she gave me news because in fact, while we were in the last podcast, she sent me a couple of really long texts. One was reactive, where she was afraid that he was going to,
Do something.
take himself out.
Yeah, take himself out. That's right.
He for whatever reason, and all this is in spiritual terminology, because he's back into tantric Tibetan Buddhism. He's back into that complicated stuff. So he's wandering now. He's
and
there.
he thinks he's a healer, and he thinks he's enlightened.
Right. Well, whatever he thinks he is, he sent me an email via her. He sent it to her so that she would forward it to me. And she said he hasn't sent me an email or a text in months and months. Mm-hmm. And yet, so she's telling me
this is special.
This communication is rare.
Yeah.
She's telling me we're not getting communications out of this guy. Mm-hmm. And you just got two major communications, a text and now this email. Now, what was the email? Because this goes along with what you're saying about examining the miracle. Because do I look at it as a miracle? No, my head didn't blow off. I didn't feel the holy light of God hit me like a shaft of light. Mm-hmm. But within the dream, my ex tells me, we don't get these. You just got this. I could easily put it together with heartfelt work, okay? I'm telling you, work by way of A Course in Miracles. Mm-hmm. Now, you'd think that if you're working the Course in Miracles, you're going to be very vigilant for the kingdom, and you're going to see those indications. But no, they still fly under the radar, because I still cherish that image of myself in the dream. I still cherish it. What the thing that he sent me, the email he sent me, was a teaching from the Buddha, where a woman, a princess, came to the Buddha and said, tell me why are some people born ugly, and some people are born beautiful, and some people are born rich, and some people are born poor? And if you've ever read this Buddhist stuff, it goes through this kind of tedious cycle of, if you did this and this and this and this, you'll be rich. If you did this and this and this, you'll be poor. If you did this and this and this, you'll be beautiful. And it's all the combinations and permutations of those two things. And so it's this long, text that explains. And then she concludes, there's always a conclusion, thank you, O Blessed One, you have told me that this is what I must have done in my past life, because I am ugly and yet I am very well placed and I have a lot of money, and you answered my question. Mm-hmm. That's usually how they go.
Yeah, right.
Why on earth did he send me this thing about being a woman? Now, the first thing I thought was that he sent it out of his own deluded sense of who he is. In other words, he's
not knowing who he is.
Yeah, well, he's got a gender
dysphoria,
if he does or not. I don't know. But anyway, he talks that way. So he sends me a thing on a woman. So I immediately say, well, he's sending me that because that's where he's at. He's trying to figure out why a guy that's 6'6" and weighs 280 pounds at this point would consider himself a woman, and that's pretty homely, And so he's wondering, I could have been cuter than this. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. And I thought about it. I said, well, you know what, Phil? That's a really hateful interpretation for the miracle. It's like you're not doing the work, peeling it open. You're not trying to get at it. And the first gesture of it is he said, I want to save you from my fate. He didn't use those exact terms, but he basically said, I want to save you from this fate of either being an ugly woman or a poor person or an ugly princess or a beautiful princess, or I don't even know. But that's the point. And the fact that it has to do with wealth and physical beauty and the interplay of the two things. And my son is coming at me with this. I recognize I'm still muddy. It says in here that there are these mists and this haze that surrounds these images that come to me, and I don't quite see them clearly. The gap, the images that form in the gap, and that's what this message is. It's like an image that forms in the gap. And it's up to me to recognize that my lack of clarity, my lack of understanding of that message, that feedback I'm getting, number one, it's rare. Number two, he says, I want to save you. Number three, it's a communication from my son, and I haven't heard from him. And number four, it followed me doing rigorous, heartfelt work on this for him,
Right.
With him in mind, realizing I'm locked in a dream. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that in terms of rungs on the...
What is the reflection in the dream happen? Since it's your reflection in the dream, what is it saying to you or anything? Is there anything that it's saying to you?
Well, what I'm saying is I have a hazy understanding of what it means. And I definitely, and I've mentioned in the podcast that I do have, things that I would throw at, let's say, self-image problems. I have had money, wealth, influence problems. I have no influence. And there's a lot of, I'm just saying, it's confusing. And it's also a tangle of yarn that's bundled up with that idea of holding a world together and saving it,
Right.
so that I have some characteristics of the dream figure, and I have the dream, and now I'm getting a, quote unquote, a miracle that's coming through the haze at me. A miracle meaning something is trying to show me that there's something else going on in there that's connecting me with the other. It's connecting me up with the sonship. It's trying to connect. But I can't, even though I have the willpower in a sense to get it, I don't quite get it. And that has to be good enough. And it has to be a gesture to where I'm at on that ladder of what she called the ladder of prayer, and the role of forgiveness in that. But just because I don't get it, because I'm a dream fragment,
Right.
just because I don't get it doesn't mean a shaft of the holy light of God didn't shine on that fragment.
Right.
Yet I have to. It's not.
And you'll know when it has, when you'll know it, because it speaks specifically to you, so that you know that communication, what seems to be a barrier, is not a barrier. It actually speaks specifically to you and your dilemma about that particular thing. And it answers it perfectly in ways that I would never come up with, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Paragraph 4.
Yeah, sure.
You have conceived a little gap between illusions and the truth to be the place where all your safety lies, and where your self is safely hidden by what you have made. Here is a world established that is sick, and this the world that the body's eyes perceive. Here are the sounds it hears, the voices that it hears were made to hear, that its ears were made to hear. Yet, sights and sounds the body can perceive are meaningless. It cannot see nor hear. It does not know what seeing is, what listening is for. It is as little able to perceive as it can judge or understand or know. Its eyes are blind. Its ears are deaf. It cannot think, and so it cannot have effects. We're discussing that whole thing I was talking about with my son. The thing that's moving its mouth and it's talking right now is a thing that is a fragment of a dream. And it shares in a dream with the son that's got a sort of a drama going on with it. And it's all separated out into pieces. The son over here, me over here, or in your case of you, the friend over here, you over here, the gap, trying to heal the gap, trying to see witnesses and healings in the gap. A part of me wanting, thinking it wants union, thinking it wants to join God's reality, but in fact, dragging its feet, it has nailed its feet to the floor of the illusion on purpose so that it cannot go.
That's you doing it to yourself.
We do it to ourselves.
Yes, okay.
We do it to ourselves because ours is not to reason why. Ours is but to be a dream fragment and die. That's it, right? That's the new way of looking at it.
Yes, uh-huh.
So we don't reason why, and we just sign on to being the dream fragment and dying because we're afraid that the death that I'm afraid of in it is to lose my dream. Because I've interpreted the dream as being life. It's my project,
Right.
my world. I've interpreted it like it says here. The world, you have conceived a little gap between illusion, where the place where all your safety lies, in that gap, and where myself, I've got me, my piece of Godhead. It's within me. It's safely hidden,
Right.
by my boundaries. And so I have, like some sort of weird dragon with gold, under the mountain, sleeping, covering, and everybody's trying to get at it. The sonship is trying to get you to part from that gold, because that gold has to be connected with the world beyond. But that dragon wraps around it and just sits there and,
That's right.
and blows smoke at people who try to get at it.
But also in the prior paragraph, it says you are the self or an illusion. So and also a middle ground where you can be a thing that is not you, must be a dream, and cannot be the truth. So it's explaining this middle ground that we like to stay in is where I think, I am still that dream fragment. But as I decide that I want to see, and I want that open communication between me and the dreamer, these things that you start to recognize that it's not really where your safety lies. All I'm saying is that you start to say, hey, that's different. I feel different about it. It seems like it came from somewhere else. And yet we still play with where the illusion seems to keep us in these little safety safety nets. And it says that it's also the place where we have kept the self safely hidden. And that's what we've made. We've made that gap, that place, the bubble around us, between what seems to be a separate place between myself and the one where the Son and the Father are one. And yet, so long as I desire those things, to nail my foot to the floor and keep my little kingdom, I will continue to experience all the pain and all the suffering that I ever wanted. It'll be my reinforcement that I'm always vulnerable, I'm always sick, I'm always this, that, and the other thing.
Well, as a dream character, as soon as I start to recognize the tangible reality, tangible, it's not a head trip, a tangible reality, that the world around me is a certain kind of a stage setting, a certain sort of a melodrama in the making, and I'm in it. And that all of the appearances within it, all the props and the people and the circumstances, are not by my design exactly, but they are tailor-made for me, because I am the dream fragment. And so that all the things that I see, they're projections of me. In other words, we're the same. The quality of that lamp, the quality of the partner, the quality of the lighting, of the house, or the dramas, it's all tailor-made for that dreamer. It's not made for somebody else. Right. Not dreamer, the dream fragment. But all of that is a construction of the actual dreamer. And as soon as I recognize, wait a second, I'm on a stage set, and I'm just another prop in that stage set, then I look down and see that my feet, that dream fragment, his tennis shoes, his sneakers, are bolted, screwed with lag bolts into the floor. And those shoes cannot move. And he can try to pry them out, but they're in there so good that he can't get out. He is stuck in those shoes. And you realize the shoes that you're in, I know this is an analogy, pardon my use of this metaphor. If he looks down at those shoes, he goes, we'll have to go barefoot. And I talked about nakedness in the one before.
Right.
I have to go barefoot. And so you simply unlace or untie or slip out of the shoes, and you're barefoot. And you just let the shoes, you look down at the shoes, and it makes you weep. It makes you weep. That you thought, I was chained.
By
my own design,
idea.
In my own situation. And it makes me weep at the loss of energy. And then you have to throw that prayer to the Holy Spirit and say, turn this weeping into a celebration. And that's where you get the revelation or the vision, the gift of vision, or the happy witness, that no, you didn't give it all up. Okay, this is what happens. Sneakers, what ends up happening is you get those sneakers bolted to the floor, and you walk into this weird space where you've got 10,000 pairs of shoes, right? You lost that one, and now you've got whatever shoes you want to wear, and and you go, oh, you mean those aren't the only pair of shoes that I had? That's not the only ones I had, and so you can walk out of them and go on your way. But there is that journey we go on. So, and the body and who I am and what I think I am, it has no ability to see or hear clearly. It's not even clearly. The thing, as it says in the Course, what does it mean? The thing that I hear, if all I can hear are reinforced illusions of the drama that I am artificially a part of, if all I can feel are the feelings that are designed as reinforcements of the drama that I'm part of, if all the words that I hear are reinforcements, that's why with my son, I have a choice of looking at what he's saying to me in email as either just another word that says, see, Dad, I'm still a wraith, now I'm in the Buddhist thing, and I have my choice, instead of saying, wait, there were cues in there was a clue, because it's not definite, it's a flux, right? It's a flux. And in that flux, the Holy Spirit goes in there and takes what it can to create the miracles, to create the happy witnesses, to create the clues and hints.
That it's talking to you. Yeah, that those echoes are talking specifically to you.
In the same way, it's my creative choice to see the world around me as an affliction. It's my creative choice to see the world around me as a miracle, as me wanting to get back. It's a creative choice of the dream fragment, to step out of those shoes, however you want to look at it. So it's up to me to recognize that the emails or the texts that I get from my son are there as a reaching to heal me, which there's another movie that is considered drama/horror, as a horror movie, they call it. I don't find it that horrible, but I love the movie Jacob's Ladder with Tim Robbins. I date myself with these. I think it's an 80s or 90s movie. I can't remember. Long story short, Tim Robbins, it's a very surreal movie, extremely surreal. And some people have said it's a movie that is like a model for the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the afterlife sequence that you go through with freezing and these different things that happen. So anyway, great movie. And at the end of it, he's in a room and he's come back to visit. He's been through all kinds of nightmares, all kinds of weird stuff, just incredible nightmarish scenes. And he's in this living room and he looks at pictures of his kids or his child, and you're trying to piece it together as a moviegoer. You're trying to see what's going on. And he looks over at a stairway. I've used this at the end of a couple of videos. He looks over at a stairway, and his son, who was killed in a car accident, is there on the step. And he looks at him and he says, "Gabe, is that you?" And the kid looks at him and says, "Dad," and he goes over to him, sits on the stair, and he puts his head in the kid's lap. And at some point they're there, and he takes him up the stairs and into the light. He takes Tim Robbins up the stairs. So what has happened there, you realize he has finally given up on the nightmare that he's been a part of. Through the whole movie, you've been dragged through this nightmare, trying to figure out how to solve it, how to fix it, what can he do? And at the end, it's just to leave it. It's just to leave the nightmare. And so at the end, the very, very last scene is he's on a table in Vietnam. He's had himself blown wide open, and he's been struggling through the whole movie to stay alive. He's on death's door, and that's what the whole, that's one, interpretation of the movie.
Right.
Anyway, Jacob's Ladder, Tim Robbins, I think it's fantastic. So.
Okay, paragraph 5. What is there God created to be sick? And what that he created not can be? Let not your eyes behold a dream, your ears bear witness to illusion. They were made to look upon a world that is not there, to hear the voices that can make no sound. Yet are there other sounds and other sights that can be seen and heard and understood. For eyes and ears are senses without sense, and what they see and hear, they but report. It is not they that hear and see, but you, who put together every jagged piece, each senseless scrap and shred of evidence, and make a witness to the world you want. Let not the body's ears and eyes perceive these countless fragments seen within the gap that you imagined, and let them persuade their maker his imaginings are real. So this is just kind of a warning of that the sensate world cannot bring us to reality. And yet, as I just said about this particular instance within my particular dream world, in desiring to hear from the Holy Spirit, it will speak through the dream fragments. That's the way I've seen it work in my life, to bring me closer to true vision, closer to true hearing. But it's a micro step in the right direction, and it lets you know that you're moving in the right direction to listen and hear what is really being said. But in this whole part here, I just see that it's just reminding me that God doesn't create sickness. None of that is part of creation. And what my eyes, my ears, my senses are witness to is only illusion. Do you have anything to say about that?
Only, just take it one step further, and I would ask you, what good does that information do you?
I think it's just reminding me, it says the very last part is there, let not the body's ears and eyes perceive these countless fragments seen within the gap that you imagined, and let them persuade their maker his imaginings are real. Because for me, the sensate world is so, it is so real. That's how we perceive our world is real, is based on what we see, what we hear, what we touch, what hurts, what doesn't, what feels good. And all of those are part of the sentient being that I believe I am. But it's asking me to not let those persuade their maker his imaginings are real. So it's asking me only to, again, suspend that because it has happened, seems to happen, to the body and all of its senses, doesn't mean that it is real. But you'll know when it's real. To me, you'll know when it's real because there's no denying true reality. It hits you in the face like, wow, how is that possible that I just heard that through the static of this world, through the sensates things that I say are telling me something. Where
I'm at with it right now as I sit here is that the Course, as it has said in many places, it's easy. It happens automatically, no sweat, simple, all that kind of thing. Very, very simple. The whole reason that I would experience anything less than unequivocal joy, peace, happiness is because I like my role as a dream hero in the dream that I'm in, and I don't want to change it. To the degree that I just like my role in the dream, and I don't know. It's a difficult one because it sounds like an indictment. It sounds like a condemnation if a person, let's say, has muscular, MS or whatever, muscular sclerosis, or whatever, Lou Gehrig's disease, or some terrible actual physical illness. It sounds cruel, or we talked about the genocide or the wars or different things that happen in the world around us, where I've projected a war out there, or I've projected the possibility of a Lou Gehrig's disease out there, or Parkinson's, or dementia of some sort, or an illness incoming, or death awaiting me. I've projected it all out there, just waiting as elements of a dream figure, and how that hero is going to manage it. I have to recognize my deep affection for that, and to not condemn myself, to not, it's a forgivable offense, okay? Because it's based on some sort of ignorance, some sort of illusion, some sort of something, and I've got to be able to forgive myself. But in order to forgive myself honestly, I can't say, "Wow, I'm experiencing pain, man, and I chose it, and I forgive myself for it." It's got to be an experience of going into understanding. I'd say, and this is the part that I've got out of this, I don't know if that's the deal, but I'm getting it out of this whole thing, is to realize that I like my role in my dream. I like it, I like it, I like it. And if I don't really, let's say, like the role because it's full of pain and suffering and loss, I do like serving the dreamer. And if it's a little bit like being a GI, let's say. You just do what the general commands, and you don't worry about it. You don't ask who the general is. You just do what's ordered, and you say, it's coming from on high. And so I live my life of pain and suffering because I'm getting orders from on high. And that's sacred to me. That's sacred, and I won't question those orders. So I continuously show up no matter how painful it might be, but many times... And the thing is, since I'm doing it on high, I'm getting pleasure at doing the work of the one that sent me, the one that dreamed me. I'm doing his work, and it makes me feel good. And it's very, very important to go there in terms of ACIM, to go into understanding that just because I have an agency of discussing and having reason and logic of some sort, and I can apparently make choices between, let's say, peanut butter and eggs, because I have those kinds of choices, not to be deceived that I am practicing agency, and to see, to step out of that slightly, and to see that, no, it's always been that way, and I've always been inside the bubble as an I am, seeking witnesses to reinforce what that I am describes as. Tall, this person that does this and this and this, holds the world together. I know I'm redundant, but I think that this is the critical fulcrum moving point, the turning point of A Course in Miracles, so that it becomes less just another gambling casino.
Well, for yourself, what is the turning point where you actually begin to relinquish your desire to be the hero of your dream or whatever it is?
It goes like this, and the thing is, I gotta confess, it's hard to talk about it because I will start crying. I will start crying. I love this thing I'm doing, and I recognize that the thing that loves doing it is tormented, and that some part of me will say, suck it up, tormented soul. It's your lot in life. And I've got to be able to forgive that one that says, suck it up, tormented soul. It's your lot in life. I've got to be able to forgive that
voice.
That voice that's able to pull away slightly, still condemns me to live it out. One time my daughter was sitting next to me in the office, and I'm working away. I'm drawing, doing my usual thing with a magnifying glass, and she goes up there, and she wants to make a card for her mom. She's making a card or something.
And how old is she?
She's like, God, I don't know. She's got to be 2.5 or 3.
A card for her mom at 2.5, 3?
Well, maybe she's 3. Maybe she's 3, 4. Maybe what happened was Christian was newborn.
Okay, yeah.
And Felicia was that age. So she's 4.5, okay? I'll just say that because I can't reconstruct it accurately. But so she's up there.
She's very young.
Yeah. And the baby is newborn, and he's over there, and she wants to make a card for her mom and all that kind of stuff. And she's up there with me, and I'm just thinking to myself the whole time I'm working, how great my daughter is. She's got this amazing attention span. She's able to just work, and she's doing creative work, and her dad is so great because he's at home, and she's there on the floor, and this is just a lovely gathering of family unity and creativity. And then I look down, and she is bitterly sad, and she's crying, crushed, and I realized that all that hard work that she's been doing, she's been miserable for no less than an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
miserable, and I'm sitting here in my cups, like a drunken man, celebrating the beauty of the family while she's suffering her ass off down there as a baby. She's a baby, and I'm letting her suffer because I'm so full of myself. I'm not paying attention to what she's doing. And so she's down there doing a dad number, trying to basically glue tissue paper together and then draw on it. It's like it's a completely impossible physical task. And I could have come in from the outside and said, let's get you some other materials. These don't work. But I let her because I was so full of the idea that she's autonomous and she's down there doing her thing. That's me in the dream, okay? That's me in the dream. And I'm up here dreaming it. Some effing fantasy of wonder and delight. And I've got to look down. She's down there. She has to finally, crying those bitter tears, say, Dad, in some form, or me to develop some looseness. But there's a relationship there, or a lack of relationship between the dreamer and the one who's being dreamed. I'm sitting there thinking she's got it all together.
Do you feel as though you can cry out and say, help, to the dreamer?
This is exactly what I'm saying, is that's what's going on with the Course.
Okay.
And it is why I cry when I talk about this, is because I see the intensity and the sacred trust of living out this life according to a certain destiny, fate, and the more hardcore I get, the more disciplined I get in living it, the better I am, like her down on the floor. It's a lost cause, and it always has been. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And saying that it's a lost cause, I have just taken my whole life, loaded it in the toilet, and pushed the little knob. I have flushed out my whole life. And until we do that, you don't get rid of the dream. It will come back and back and back.
Right. So that's the hard work. That is what we're attached to. Okay, paragraph 6.
Creation proves reality because it shares the function all creation shares. It is not made of little bits of glass, pieces of wood, a thread or two, perhaps all put together to attest its truth. Reality does not depend on this. There is no gap that separates the truth from dreams and from illusions. Truth has left no room for them in any place or time, for it fills every place and every time and makes them wholly indivisible. And simply stated, if I go back to the example of my daughter doing her craft project and me just being in my cups, she may be locked into her role as an all-accomplishing child daughter. But the minute that gets overstepped and she can look at her dad with eyes weeping, he will rush in and solve that situation, literally a God-damned situation. He can solve it. He can solve it.
Right.
And that's all I have to know, is that I'm down there on the floor and all I need are my well-placed bitter tears. Not about my lot in life, not about anything, but to say, let's dream a different dream.
Yes. Yeah. Because reality does not depend on this. There is no gap that separates truth from dreams and from illusions. Okay. Paragraph 7. You who believe there is a little gap between you and your brother, do not see that it is here you are as prisoners in a world perceived to be existing here. The world you see does not exist because the place where you perceived it is not real. The gap is carefully concealed in fog, and misty pictures rise to cover it with vague, uncertain forms and changing shapes, forever unsubstantial and unsure. Yet, in the gap is nothing, and there are no awesome secrets and no darkened tombs where terror rises from the bones of death. Look at the little gap, and you will behold the innocence and emptiness of sin that you will see within yourself when you have lost the fear of recognizing love.
One minor rereading or recorrection is look at the little gap, and it's not you will behold the innocence. It's you behold.
Okay.
Present tense. In other words, when I look at the little gap, when I look into the gap, I behold the innocence and emptiness of sin. It's meaningless.
Right.
It's innocent. There's emptiness that you will see within yourself. Now, I'm only seeing it in the little gap, and that's the first step, because when I've seen it there, I will see it within myself. When you have lost the fear of recognizing love, when I finally don't have to push the Father away, when I finally don't have to push God away, when I finally have lost the attraction to those sneakers screwed to the ground in this dream world, when I've lost the attraction to just accomplishing the first step, second step, first step, ground zero, up and down, never getting out, never, just digging the idea that I got some vertical mobility and I take full advantage of that 6 inches that I've got when I've got 6 billion trillion miles that is available. I'm loving that 6 inches.
Right.
And I just hang in with it and go, hey, this is called spiritual practice. That 6 inches again and again and again, because I don't want to leave it. And when I finally look in the gap and I see that Phil or whoever it is that's doing it, my son, my daughter, do you realize that my daughter in that situation, do you realize she's might as well be Shakyamuni, Bodhisattva, Buddha, come to show me myself.
Right.
They're on the floor trying to glue together tissue paper to do a good thing for somebody, and instead being crucified on the material world. She's doing that, and you know what? She watches these things for the most part. She's done her whole life. Can I notice it, Phil? Can you notice it? She doesn't have to save you from yourself.
Right.
She doesn't have to say, she did it. Okay, she did it way back then when she's 4 years old. And I could have gotten the message, but I wasn't doing a course, and I was full of myself, and I'm just loving being a stay-at-home dad kind of a thing. So I don't see what's going on there. And I see that as her problem, not recognizing that she is carrying my problem for my salvation.
Yes. Because whether you crucify yourself or you crucify the brother, you get crucified. It's just that this is giving us the opportunity to let the gap reveal what it really is, that it is nothing. But that means that we have to look right at, for myself, this is what it means for me. It means I have to look at the very thing that frightens me, the very thing that upsets me, and look at it wholly and completely honestly as to what perhaps my part is in it. And more than that, just say, I don't like it. I want to see it differently. However it is that you get that communication open between you as a dream fragment to the dreamer, so that the dream can begin to show the happy witnesses. That's what I think.
That sounds good.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.